Well, hello there, beautiful. It's Kylie Patchett here. Welcome to the Wild and Finally Fecking Free podcast. I deeply believe that the years during and beyond perimenopause are a rite of passage. All of a sudden, we find ourselves on the precipice of a life transition where our brain literally rewires and runs out of fucks to give. We find ourselves shifting identity, no longer caring what other people think, and being invited to expand into new ways of being. Here, we share the real and raw stories from women who've been through deep midlife metamorphosis, taken a leap of faith, or broken the ties that bind us in patterns of staying small, stuck, and like our needs just don't matter. This is the midlife medicine you didn't even know you needed. Stories full of joy, despair, freedom, courage, and deep self-honoring. I am so glad you found us. Welcome. I'm doing my little boogie that says I'm excited again, not that anyone can bloody well see me. I am deeply, deeply, deeply excited to have our next guest in the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast chair, because this lovely lady, Nicole Liddell, was part of my life many, many moons ago on the sunny coast. And the joy of putting out this invitation to share stories is that I'm getting to reconnect with all you cool people. So, hey, Nic, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. It's so good to see you.
It's amazing.
And talk to you after all this time. Yeah.
I was looking at all the photos from years ago of Gold Power, like when we used to train and we did the not the full triathlon. I never did a full triathlon like you did, but the little mini triathlon, and so much. I have really fond memories of the connection and that real, community that was that Gold Power. For everyone listening, was a training business, outdoor training business on the Sunshine Coast, and yes, deeply, deeply grateful for the gifts. So let's dive in. I just read your story again, and I was just like, there's so many threads that I want to pull here. Let's start with, in your answer to one of the questions, you said, this happened and I thought that was my midlife metamorphosis. So let's start there and then we'll unfold.
So probably mid-30s, I'd say. I think I was. I was married. I had 3 kids. My youngest was, I think, maybe around 2 years old. I was quite overweight at the time, and feeling like I needed some change in my life. And, anyway, I embarked on this. I just decided one day that I wanted to do a triathlon. And I kind of set in motion this plan, and I kind of set up I joined an online, at the time it was an online weight loss, bodybuilding type, platform. Joined that. Anyway, I started losing weight, and I just had my eye on this triathlon that I was going to, eventually do. And it took me about 12 months. Anyway, I lost I think it was about 36 kilos at the time. And just became obsessed with training and triathlon. And, I think at the time, because that's when I met Jen Forster and I started working for her, and, that's how we connected.
Yes.
And, at the time I was very proud of myself. I'd done this, gone on this huge journey, and I kind of had this feeling that I had done my metamorphosis, like I'd lost 30 kilos. I became an athlete, if you will, and, started, really getting involved in training and fitness. And I really quite settled into that. And then, I thought I'd kind of had all this hard stuff happen in my life, all through my childhood and, through young adulthood. And I'd been a single mum at 24, and I got married, and, I lost all this weight, and I had this feeling that I had arrived. I'd kind of gone through this massive weight loss, and finally my life was great. Wasn't. It actually wasn't, So the physical metamorphosis is one thing. My marriage ended, and it's not, I take responsibility for my marriage ending. it was, at the same time, it was unexpected. I didn't think that this was how my life was going to go.
Yes.
So, I floated around then for a couple of years, and I kept training, and I was, balancing soul parenting and training, and, I would take the kids to the pool with me, or to the beach with me, or to the track with me. And, I really worked, and I was still kind of in this mindset that the physical transformation was my metamorphosis. It was my thing to be proud of. It was my thing to kind of help other people with. And, and it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was, I'd have to say that it was actually probably a big lie in regards to the importance of it, if you know what I mean. Like, I think I really kind of became so wrapped up in that when my emotional world crashed down around me after that, I realized that actually wasn't that important, or it was, just the tip of the iceberg of me moving through life and changing. So yeah, it was it was big, but it wasn't.
That's what I want to say, like, not ever taking away the monumental shift in your mindset, your physicality, your commitment to your self-care, moving, etc. Like, that is a monumental shift and thing to achieve. I'm listening and I'm nodding internally, because I also, many times in my life, my most recent attempt at, fixing myself, I'm air quoting, fixing myself, came in the form of a really super restrictive diet program where I lost 30 something kilos. And I too thought, I have arrived. My life will be magically better.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, that is so not the case. That is literally, just the external. And internally, what I was seeking was this sense of worth and control and safety and love and support that I hadn't experienced as a kid. And I was trying to get something external to kind of fill the hole. And I also came to a realization where I was like, well, fuck, that didn't make any difference whatsoever to my internal landscape.
No. And in fact, it actually made things worse for me, because I feel like, and I'm sure a lot of women can relate to this, we carry weight as a protection.
Absolutely.
And if anyone has experienced any kind of relationship or sexual trauma or anything, where our safety, our emotional, physical or psychological safety is threatened, often women, maybe men too, I can't speak for men, but it's not uncommon for weight to be a protective layer for that. So when that all disappeared, and I was very lean at one point, and I actually felt more unsafe and more vulnerable in the world. It became my identity too, because everybody would be like, oh my God, you've lost that. Oh my God, how'd you do it? Oh my God. And, you get that external reward. It's just reinforcing that skinnier is better, or leaner is better, because everybody was so happy for me.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole freaking conversation right there, right?
Yeah. But on the inside, I still hadn't addressed the emotional issues that led to the weight gain in the first place. And I hadn't addressed, even the breakdown of my marriage, my responsibility in that. And, I was just off living my best life as a size 10 triathlete.
Yes. And also like a bit of a fuck you to the ex-husband, right? Like, look at me go, I can live my best life. And despite what happened, that sort of energy.
But along with that came a lot of judgment and a lot of criticism from people, because people can be very cruel to mums, especially, because my kids were quite young at the time. And I remember I was out having a drink with some friends, and I had an event the next day, so I wasn't drinking any alcohol. And I had my screen saver on my phone was my bike. And this very good friend of mine, she saw my phone. It was on the table, they were drinking. And she said, oh, my God, have you got a picture of your bike as your screensaver? And I said, well, yeah, I'm really proud of my bike. I saved up and bought it. And and she said, well, most mothers have pictures of their kids on their phone. And I was just like, wow, you actually just said that out loud. Maybe it was the alcohol she was drinking, but that was, it started to become really evident to me that everyone had a point of view about me doing something for me. Yeah, so I would say to my parents, can you mind the kids on a Saturday morning so I can do my morning ride? And there's always this underlying thing where as mothers, we're not supposed to do things for ourselves. And fuck me, it just brought me undone. All of the judgment. It was like, you're not allowed to be that. Like when you're an overweight, frumpy mum, it's okay. Or she must be very loving and very nurturing and very,
Look at her not looking after herself. What a wonderful mother.
Yeah. Because she must put her kids first. Whereas, so that really brought me undone, because I have been especially sensitive to judgment my entire life. It's like very sensitive to it. And I grew up in a home where, I wasn't, the only thing that was ever expected of me was to get married and have kids and nothing else. And why would I think about anything else? And you don't need to go to university because your husband will look after you. You'll get married and your husband will look after you. And even after I was divorced, like my parents were just ashamed of the fact that they had a divorced child. And my mum said to me, don't worry, you'll meet someone soon.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to blaspheme. I shouldn't say that word because I don't want to offend anyone, but oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So, okay. So knowing that about your childhood, it is very easy. And I really want people to hear this. It is extremely difficult for us as women to even know who we are, what we want, what we desire when if we have grown up, and a lot of us have, in families, in communities, in churches, in whatever, fill in the blank here, communities, where a woman's role is a very particular box.
Yeah.
And by definition, if you want something outside of that box, it's not okay. It's not good. It's going to offend people. It's going to whatever, like upset the apple cart, for want of a better word. And so here we are as 30, 40, 50 and beyond year old women finally getting to the point in our lives where we're like, I'm sorry, who the fuck is defining this journey for me? I feel deeply ripped off. I'm like, far out, man. If I knew what I know now, that's silly to say, but, as a 20-year-old, my life would have looked very different, very, very different. Although I also always anchor back into one of my key beliefs, which is you can trust the timing of your life as well.
Yeah.
So timing-wise, you've gone through the physical metamorphosis, the external metamorphosis, and on one hand, you've got all these people going, "Yay, Nic, you must, you're so much better a person because you're tiny now, and you're so skinny and worthy. Yay, good woman for being beautiful. Pat on the head." And then you've got this other side of being judged, not feeling like what your decisions and what your desires are even okay to express.
And the judgments came from the closer people were to me. That's where the judgments came from. It was people who weren't, in that inner circle. The people outside of that were the ones that were saying, "Oh my God, well done." And it was the people closest to me that didn't like the change. They didn't like the new sense of confidence that I had. They didn't like that I was choosing for me. And that bothered me because you just want to be loved and accepted by the people close to you, right? So it was, it was
absolutely hard. Hey, gorgeous. We interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode. Oh my goodness. What I want to say about all of that, didn't like the new me, didn't like the confident me. People that are used to us dancing a particular dance are very disturbed when you start dancing one of power and to your own music and your own beat and not giving a fuck what people think. Yeah. And so let's normalize that. If you have lived in one of those containers where your role is XYZ and you choose to not do that, you're going to offend people and you're going to receive judgment, and it's still worth doing. Do it anyway.
And part of the journey is becoming okay with it, And part of that's a big part of the journey for me. And I think my mum had quite significant mental health issues growing up. So, and she had a long history of childhood trauma and trauma through her young adulthood. So, I can reflect on that now and see where her trauma drove her behaviour.
Yes.
And, I think she resented me because I was going, fuck it, I'm going to have what I want. I'm going to have it. I'm just going to go and do it. And I was just this wild,
Untamed.
loud, and
untamed.
She resented the fact that I was being what she couldn't. I represented what she wanted to be. And that's something that I always feel very sad about for my mum. She passed away in 2017. So, interesting. But so then I went, so after lost weight, marriage fell apart, terrible relationship with my ex-husband, with co-parenting, which was really challenging. He remarried quite quickly. So then there was the two of them trying to just bring everything that I did undone. Yeah. So I had a relationship sort of maybe 3 years after I was divorced. And without going into too much detail, it was the catalyst for me finally going, I'm not fucking doing this shit anymore. Like, I am no longer going to turn myself inside out to be what someone else wants me to be, just so that I can be loved, taken care of, accepted, appreciated, because what actually came out of that relationship was the realization that sometimes nothing you do is ever going to be enough, and you can't control, or you have no responsibility for other people's behaviors.
Yeah.
And
or
so
emotional stability or okayness in the world.
Yeah. I'm okay with people having stuff, because I think you can't get to nearly 50 and not have a suitcase, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And look, if you need to unpack the suitcase and you need some help to unpack it, I'll unpack it with you, but I'm not carrying it. I am not carrying your suitcase because it's too heavy for you. Not doing that any longer. And that's essentially how I felt in that relationship. I turned myself inside out to try and be what somebody wanted me to be. I tried everything I could to soothe and fix something that was way beyond my pay grade.
Yeah. And also not your role as a partner.
And not my
totally
role.
Not.
Yeah. But I did it because I think I've had this, I've been driven most of my life to try and prove that I was a good person, because coming from, a mother with mental health issues and I was the scapegoat and I was the disappointment, and everything I did in life was not in line with the plan. That as I exited the womb, I did
not pay attention to the signposts.
I was assigned a role, and anything I did that didn't feel that, I was made to feel like a disappointment or a failure, or as no one ever saw me for who I was. So I got to the point where so after that relationship ended, and it was quite toxic towards the end, I had completely lost my internal compass. I didn't know which way was up. I didn't know who I was, because I was very lost, and I kind of got to the point where I couldn't have gotten any further rock bottom. And, I couldn't even leave the house. And at the same time, I think on reflection now I understand. At the time I didn't, because no one had ever told me about perimenopause. Perimenopause was arriving at the same time. And I've heard people say that, maybe stress brings on the symptoms of perimenopause. And I would say that was definitely probably, my experience.
All right.
So I developed social anxiety. I couldn't leave the house. I shut down all my social media. I was so frightened of doing or saying the wrong thing, and a lot of shame kind of, underneath all of that.
Yeah.
And my GP said to me, "You are a nervous breakdown is right around the corner for you if you don't do something." Like I was, and still trying to raise kids and sole parent, and
meanwhile still trying to carry on a life,
and raise the kids on my own, because there was no support. So that was my rock bottom, and that was when the true metamorphosis, I believe, really began for me, like that soul deep change, metamorphosis. And I just was like, I owe it to my kids. I was driven to prove to my kids that I wasn't what other people were saying I was. And I had to be what my kids needed. And forsake anyone else, there was this, I made this decision that it was just going to be me and the kids for however long it took for us to dig our way out. And that was when I decided, like on a whim, to go and do a university degree.
I love this. I'm like, yeah, you know, a lot of people would just buy chocolate, but she decides to study for 6 years. Okay. I want to reflect back before we go down the total metamorphosis. But I was saying to you before we started recording, one of the things that I keep coming home to every time, every story, in every, you know, in all the different forms, this deep reverence I keep being reminded to feel about the resilience of the human spirit, because not only were you at rock bottom, but you were meeting the clusterfuckery that can be perimenopause.
Yeah.
So, and to me, you know, one of the biggest kind of testing points for perimenopause myself so far has been like emotional swings and also like self-doubt, just not like is how I'm feeling actually valid? Like, I don't know.
Am I going crazy?
Yeah, exactly. Crazy? Am I going crazy? Is this real? Is this actually, what I'm experiencing, my version of reality, actually happening? Really discombobulating. And so on a whim, you enroll in
a Bachelor of Psychology.
Not an arts degree, people. Bachelor of Psychology.
So the thing is, I think, you know, I've always been interested in personal development, human behaviour, and, you know, it started with my mum, because I had to believe that there was a reason why people behave the way they behave.
Yeah.
Like, she's my mum. There must be a reason why she's doing what she's doing, you know, because she must love us, you know. And so I had this, it was kind of like I couldn't accept that, because everyone would just pay out on her for being a bit crazy, and you know, she would do and say some really bizarre things, and she had at one point she had trauma-induced psychosis, so it was quite you know,
extreme.
And back in, that was, you know, I was 15 at the time. People didn't talk about mental health. It was just, oh, your mum's just gone to hospital for a little while. And then when she came out, it was like, oh, she's home now. No discussion about what had happened, what she'd been through. So I was like, there's more to this. There's more to this. So I've always been on a bit of a mission for human behaviour, and I wanted to go to university and study psychology when I left school. But I was given the no. You're not.
Wait for a man to look after you, Nic.
Literally, girls don't go to university. And it was like every time I brought it up, it was dismissed as we're not even going to have the conversation. I'll get you a job in a bank. These are my dad's exact words.
Oh, wow.
I know the bank manager of the Commonwealth Bank. I will get you a job in a bank, and you'll just work in the bank until you get married.
And produce kids.
So that was my role. And my dad and I, we've talked about that just recently, actually, and he totally accepts that, you know, and I said to him, I don't blame you. But anyway, so I wanted to go to university. I always thought that university was just not for me. It was always for those other people, you know, the smart ones.
Oh, my God, you're so smart. So
right?
Yeah. It's funny how we see each other versus how people see us.
It's like looking over the fence going, oh, what do all those people do? Oh, they go to university. And it's not for people like me, don't go to university. At the time, I even had, do you remember, Rachel Whitten? She was one of, so Rach, one of my, she's my, I always call her my guardian angel, because she's just one of my closest and dearest friends. And she's, no matter what I've been and how I've shown up in the world, because it hasn't always been pretty, she's always been there as a consistent thing. And, you know, she would buy me and my kids groceries. We had no money. I was doing, some freelance writing, and I was, doing all this stuff, and I couldn't put food on the table. And I was at the point where I was either going to, I was nearly going to say to the kids, you're going to have to go and live with your dad, because I can't afford to feed you. I'd keep the kids home from school because I couldn't give them lunch. And so I had 39 cents in the bank when I decided to go to university, and I had to borrow, I think it was 69 or 76 or something, $70 or something to to do the application. I had to borrow that to apply. And some people said to me, the doctor has just told you you're about to have a nervous breakdown and you're going to take on a psychology degree. And I'm like, well, I know it sounds weird, but it feels right.
It feels right. Oh, my God. Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
The decision to go to university in the state that I was in made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. There was nothing. And I just thought, well, if I'm going to be struggling and if life is going to be hard and I'm going to be going through every day, laboring through every day, then there's going to be an outcome. It's not going to be just Groundhog Day.
For nothing. Yeah.
There's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel and I have to have something to be working towards. So that's what I did.
I've been marinating this idea of being the decider and the creator in our lives. And that is a perfect example of someone who's going, all right, I'm surrendering to this reality right now, but I'm deciding it's not going to be for fucking nothing. Like there's going to be something at the end of this for us.
Yeah.
So you start a psychology degree at what age were you?
43.
43. Yep.
Yeah.
And you have just graduated with
first class honours.
I was so excited when I saw that. I'm just like, fuck yes. Yes, you do. And bloody hell, like, going back to any sort of study after the, I don't know, the normal average time that we, the design that sometimes we could fall into the trap of thinking, uni is, you go to school, you go to uni, whatever. But even doing that and being a mature age student versus being one of the teeny boppers in the psychology class.
Yeah.
So what, you describe this as your real metamorphosis. What has changed in the way that you see yourself and your ability to create your life?
Well, I think so there's a couple of things. There's the confidence that comes from having an education. There's that feeling of, like, and especially for women, I now have an education and no motherfucker can ever take that from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've learned stuff and I know, I understand that it's a construct of the society we live in and, academia is not everything and it's not, but it is valuable in our society. Like it is going to earn me more money, and that's going to give me the ability to take care of myself and my family more so than if I hadn't had it. So no one can take that from me and no one can take the hard work away. No one can say that I didn't work hard because I couldn't have got to the end without hard work.
Yeah.
So there's the confidence that comes with it. The rest of it, I think, for me, I had so much to unpack that I couldn't have done it without the distraction of having the degree. It was kind of like releasing the pressure cooker slowly over time. So I would head down 13 weeks for a semester and I would learn some stuff that would help me perhaps kind of do some self-reflection. Then I would, take some time. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of, I can't do this. What the hell who the hell do I think I am? And I think, there was a lot of therapy sessions as well. So I did it. It wasn't just, working hard on the degree. In that time, I worked on myself. I was seeing a psychologist and I was also seeing some energy healers kind of stuff as well. I kind of combined the whole thing. What I came to, I know what I know. I know what I know. And I'm not going to doubt it anymore. Like, I'm not going to doubt what I know because my intuition is now backed up by the knowledge that I have as well, if you know what I mean.
Did you find, sorry, you do.
Oh, I was just going to say, and also I know I keep harping on about this and it sounds like I'm flying the flag, but I raised my kids on my own and I did it without input. And the amount of judgment that I've had over the years of the choices I've made as a mother, I've got 3 really quality human beings that I can proudly say I've contributed to them being who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's been a big 6 years, not just the study, but everything else that's come along.
Yeah, so the kids are all graduated now? Not quite.
Well, yeah. So no, she's just had her formal. She's graduating.
Yeah, I thought she was the same as Abby.
Yeah. So 25, 19 and 17 they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Far out. That must feel deeply satisfying to know that the container that you created for them with very, very little assistance from their dad has been something that, and like you said, quality human beings, like good eggs. I would call them good eggs. That's my version of quality.
And because that's my measure of success is, money and whatever, we need that to survive. That's a necessity. We need to be, and for me to not be stressed or financial trauma and survival trauma is horrific, and so many people experience it, and so many people don't. They're just stuck on that roundabout. Like it's horrific. I don't know where I was going with that.
No, I was saying about the quality human beings and
your
measure of
success. So that's what I said. Yes. So while money is important, for me, the measure of success is the quality of human being that you are and how well you care for other people. And so all 3 of them, that's, so for me, my kids are amazing because they all care about other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How could they not with a mum like you? I wanted to ask, when you were studying psychology, because I'm relating to a lot of what you're saying. I have a mum with significant mental health diagnoses and issues, and I experienced what I would call, I don't know, if in psychological terms, I would call definitely, more than likely qualifies as codependency / trauma bonding. I don't know enough about psychology to sort of label myself that, but I'm nodding along at a lot of what you're saying. And one of the things that I am really curious to know is when you were studying your degree and you say, I know what I know and I'm not going to doubt it. As a kid of someone with that type of like psychological distress disorder conditioning through their own trauma, and acknowledging that is certainly the case, were some of the things that you just knew about human behavior because you'd experienced it and you'd had to make meaning of what you went through borne out when you actually studied psychology, like your gut feel or your sort of instinct?
Yeah. Right? Yes. And I think as an empath, and, I have a bit of a theory about empaths too, I think that empaths are often born out of trauma. Yeah. So we become so hypersensitive to people around us because it's how we stay safe. So our nervous systems are wired to pick up micro expressions and things like that other people may not pick up. So, what I have discovered is, so I was before the degree, before education, I had gone down quite a big spiritual path.
Yes.
And what I understand now is that a lot of what we consider energy and empathic kind of abilities, it's very related to the nervous system and very related to how we are wired as a result of our environment when we're young. That's not to say that it's not still an energy thing or whatever, because I feel like I have a nice bridge between the two, but I understand that some of my own behaviors and my own reactions, especially in relationship, we're born out of codependence. That was the result of not being co-regulated as a child.
Correct.
Not having co-regulation and those feelings of safety as a child, emotional and psychological safety, creates codependence. It creates the desire for us to be what other people want us to be, because all we want is to co-regulate and to feel safe. So the more I do what you want me to do, the more chance I've got of feeling safe.
Correct.
Doesn't work like that.
No. Good theory.
Yeah.
It doesn't bear out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of what I learned was through my degree, obviously, but a huge part of my own journey and my own growth came from the stuff that I did in addition to that. So I heard you on one of your podcasts the other day, you mentioned The Body Keeps the Score.
Yes.
Bessel van der Kolk's book. Yeah. I read that book. I went and had a seminar with him when he came out. Peter Levine, all the people that, around that kind of nervous system, trauma stuff. And I came to understand that a lot of my reactions, particularly in relationship, were just my nervous system trying to keep me safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and even with my family, because I had the reputation growing up as, she's always going off, she's always yelling, and she's always, because no one ever saw me or heard me. So the louder I was, and all it does is perpetuate this idea that you're a nut job.
More feedback. Feedback. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, I know what I know. I'm actually not crazy. I never was. Oh. I just was not seen, not heard, and desperately wanted people to see who I was for who I am.
This is the gift, I think, of not only sharing these stories, but the gift of perimenopause is that we literally do not give a fuck anymore, or learning to shed the skins of giving a fuck about what other people think of us, getting love and approval outside of ourselves, etc. And I think that's when these patterns, if not before, become so painful and at such a cost, and in the middle of the emotional dysregulation that can come with perimenopause, where we just get so fucking exhausted that we just go, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't actually care anymore. And I totally agree with you. My own theory about empathy is that there is no such thing as empathy. It's just hypervigilance born from trauma. That's what I've been saying for years. And that's pretty cool to hear someone who's got some psychological training going, I think that's probably got some truth to it. Because, it is actually not, I'm not even going to go down the rabbit hole of saying normal, because I don't want to assign normality where, we're on a spectrum, but it is not healthy for us to be so hypersensitive to someone else's expressions, mood changes, tone changes, whatever, how they walk, how they whatever, that we need to morph our behavior and our speech, our everything about ourselves to become this chameleon to try to not trigger someone else. Like that's actually a very unhealthy environment to grow up in. And very, very understandable for that to carry through to any relationship, particularly an intimate relationship, like kids, partners, that sort of thing, because, we don't know how to walk the dance of being seen and heard by someone.
No. And one of the hardest parts about, when you come to that realization that, I came to the point where if I didn't start setting boundaries, this is kind of dramatic, but it's like if I don't start setting boundaries with people, I'm going to fucking die. Like I'm going to die.
It's not dramatic. I totally understand.
I actually can't do this anymore. And I very dramatically cut a lot of people out of my life simply because my nerve endings were felt so exposed and so raw that I couldn't tolerate being around a lot of the people that I had in my life. And it was self-preservation and self-healing. And some people understood. Some people got offended. And I really quickly learned and realized who saw me for who I am and who had my back. And so now my circle is small. I still like love interacting with people, and
Yes.
and now I go out a lot more than I used to, but my circle is small.
Yeah.
And there's not an easy in.
Mm-hmm. And you're reminding me of something. I love Danielle Laporte's writings. I think she's got a depth of wisdom that's just exquisite. And one of the things that she wrote about, God, very early on, because I've been on her, in her community since like 2010, I reckon. One of the things that she wrote about or had a blog post about or a video, I don't even know what it was, but you're reminding me of it. She said, keep your heart wide open and keep a big motherfucking fence around it.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I hear from you is like, I'm still willing to be open, vulnerable, to connect, to be intimate. I'm just careful who I actually let through that front fence to actually get access to that.
Yeah. And that wasn't an immediate thing, because at first it was shut down, out. Yeah, and absolutely. Protect. It has taken me, I wouldn't be able to sit here and have this conversation with you maybe 12 months ago, maybe even 6 months ago. Because I was still so frightened of just being misunderstood or judged, or but yeah. So what I was going to say before is the setting boundaries is not an easy thing to learn. Not when you've never had them, and not when you've learned to be responsible for someone else's emotional well-being. I find that very difficult as well. It can feel very scary, terrifying. My biggest fear was that if I set boundaries, I'd be alone. Yeah. If I start setting boundaries around these people and how they interact with me, if I start saying, no, I don't like it, that doesn't work for me, or then they would disappear and I would end up alone because, no one would like my boundaries. It's ridiculous. But what did happen was some people did walk away. Yeah. But they just created a space. Yeah, absolutely. Really quality human beings to enter. So the circle is smaller, but the friend that I have now, there's a mutual reverence for each other and a respect. So I feel very lucky now. It's funny how it's not funny, it's perfect how when I'm doing interviews, quite often a similar theme or message will come across. And earlier today I recorded an interview and we were talking about how when we've learned ways of being with other people, particularly parents or siblings or, people that have a huge impact in the way that we grow up and get this sense of self or not, on the flip side, no sense of self. Yeah. That as we go on the healing journey, well, I don't even like the word journey because by definition it says that it stops, whether I don't think it never stops, but, my healing process, healing journey, want to expand awareness around patterns that you don't want to continue. Yeah. What tends to happen is exactly what you're talking about, is that there's a change in what we will and won't tolerate, which is therefore the boundary. But by setting the boundary, we create our own sense of safety, which we may never have experienced before. And then we can unfurl the fullness of ourselves. Yeah. Oh, I got full body shivers again. Ooh. Yeah, absolutely. Unfurling who you really are. Yeah. And then you are seen and you are heard. But it's not until you actually start setting the fucking boundary for yourself and creating the safety that you can do that. Yeah. And I always thought it was like back to front. Yeah. Like I always thought I just needed to get closer to people. Yeah. And try and really connect. But I'm like, you're trying to connect when you're not even being yourself because you're not safe enough to be yourself. Yeah. So how, like you're I don't know. Now, when I look back now. Well, I described it as, I kind of described it as it's like we're all walking around the world in our own little perspex cylinder. We're interacting with each other, but there's these massive big barriers that we can't even see because we're not being our authentic selves. And if you've read that Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score, he talks about that there is deep within us is an authentic self.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of our reactions, trauma reactions, our body is doing what it's supposed to do. We're wired to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're, you know, like, look at it from an anthropological perspective. We're wired to survive. So our nervous systems they're cocooning the authentic self, and you know, keeping that safe. And so we're all walking around in these aspects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cylinders, and our authentic self is tucked in there somewhere. But, you know, and it's kind of like when you first start, you kind of like when you first meet someone that you do this little dance of, can I be me with you?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You know, and if as soon as I get a whiff of I can't be me with you, then I know. So one of my therapists said to me once, if you consider yourself a farmhouse, you're the farmhouse, you're the valuable piece on the land, right? And then there's one fence perimeter, and then there's a little bit further out, there's another perimeter fence. The first gate has a set of rules of engagement, and if you meet those standards or values or whatever it is that you want to put on the outside gate, those people can come into that first yard. Then on the inside gate, there's stricter rules, stricter values, stricter alignment, or a stricter requirement for alignment. Yeah. And those people can come in and sit in your lounge room and sit with you at your fireplace. And, you know, and I'm like, that's perfect. You don't have to shut the whole world out. You just have to know which yard they belong in. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and go out and meet them where they're at.
But you don't have to put yourself in harm's way by letting them in the lounge room. Yeah.
No.
I love that, especially because, you know, I live in the country. So, you know, I love a farm analogy. But you only let the special people into the farmyard and into your home, into your lounge room, into your heart, into your trust and Oh my goodness. So when you started setting the boundaries, what has that, well, first of all, actually, I want to step back one step and say, deeply honouring the fact that particularly if it feels like it would have been too hard 6 months ago, thank you for honouring us with the space and the lessons. Every time I record one of these, I'm just like, far out, this is going to reach so many women. And so your cat is like, meow. So many women, and heal in so many different ways with different, you know, ahas and the golden nuggets that, you know, fall into people's hearts and souls and awareness. Once you've set the boundaries and you've come to the end of this huge period of, you know, you've backed yourself, you've undergone this massive metamorphosis, you've done the study, you've achieved the degree, you've got that confidence and the grounding back in your, it's like your self-trust, right? Like you said, I know what I know, and I don't, you know, there's nothing outside of me that will make me question that again. Whereas where we started the conversation was everything outside of me buffeted me around.
Yeah, I was like being inside a washing machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no stability at all when you don't have a sense of who you are. Yeah.
So where to from this space? What do you feel is not the next step as in like a strategy or a plan or anything, but like what's calling you now? Like you've done a shitload of healing and transformed so much. What feels like it's up?
You know, it definitely feels like a chapter, and it's funny how it all just, you know, the kids of I finished uni. And, you know, one of the reasons why I was quickly back was to go to uni was I knew that one day the kids would be adults and, you know, family assistance would stop. And, you know, there was this fear of, you know, middle-aged women being the fastest growing homeless population. So that was another driver. I was like, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to be.
That's not my story.
Renting a room off someone in my 60s. That's not going to happen. So, you know, and I finished my degree in the nick of time. I finished my degree the same year that my youngest finishes high school. So,
Yeah. Trust the timing.
And I was very lucky. After my first semester, I got a job at the uni, and then I got another job at the uni, and then I got another job at the uni, and I've been working at the uni for the last 5.5 years, and for 4 of those years I've been working in a research centre. With amazing people. Like it's, not only are they really, really smart people, my boss is in the top 10 researchers in his field, and I'm learning a lot, but they're also mentor type people. And they see, it's the first time I've ever worked in a workplace where they see my intelligence when I don't, which is funny. And they give me things to do, and I'm like, oh, yeah, can I do that? You sure? And I do it. And so I'm in a really nurturing place work-wise. So what I've decided to do is, instead of going straight on to postgrad clinical masters, I'm taking a year off, and I'm going to just work full-time. I've actually put a hold on my volunteer stuff because I was volunteering and mentoring at Lifeline as well. And I've made a very clear decision that my health and my well-being, like I've laid the groundwork for it now. Now I have to do the things to take care of myself. So, yes, definitely a new chapter. I'm working full-time at the research centre. And I've taken everything else off my plate. So it's just work, me and the kids. And I'm back in the gym. Yay. And I'm back training, which, just in the last couple of weeks, that, it always takes a good month. And there's a lot to undo. I've put on, 30-something kilos. And
me too.
My joints are all stiff, and I have no glute muscles because I've been sitting on my ass for 6 years. And so it's been slow, and 10 years ago I would have been performance focused. Get those, get the squat numbers up, and how much can you lift?
Yep. I hear.
And now it's like, oh my God, I can put my undies on without leaning on the wall. Yay. And so I'm slowly building up my strength, but I'm feeling the difference, and I'm feeling really good. So the next 12 months is going to be focusing on just like refueling my body and nurturing, and I want to say lose weight, but if that happens, it happens. The important thing is to get moving and to start enjoying life again.
Yeah. And feel I'm in a similar, I'm only like week 3 back at the gym, having put back on 30-something kilos. And same thing, like I'm not attached anymore at all to the kilo number, but I want to feel vital again. I want to feel strong, and I want to feel grounded, and I want to be able to run up the stairs if I want to, or, chase my stupid daughter's bloody Sharpay down the road like I do today. I just about had a cardiac event, but anyway, but
nutrition, and that it's when it comes to, we're talking perimenopause. I started following a pro-metabolic diet, and my perimenopausal symptoms, like it's so important when your body says rest.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no such thing in my vocabulary as a low-calorie diet. Like, if I lose a kilo a month, that's fine, as long as my body is nourished, and my,
And what a beautiful gift too, to not be attached to the pushing energy that we used to in the gym 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like achieve, push.
Yeah.
Never miss a session. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing too about this coming year is like you've undergone such a big expansion and evolution over 6 years. Like, just freaking let it settle. Sometimes we just need to just let it freaking settle. Like, and just.
What was that? Because it was big. It was massive. It's so hard to put words to that kind of experience of change actually is. It's so hard to articulate what it is. But you're right. There's very much this need to just sit and let it integrate or settle, even
just and anchor back into all of those basic need self-care, primary self-care, sleep, connect.
And who am I in the world now? Because I've spent 6 years I have not dated, haven't dated, I've hardly socialized. I have socialized with my close knit friends, but how does this new me fit into the world now? So it's a journey of discovery of what that looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how do I want to feel day to day? That's one of my favorite questions. It's like, how do I actually want to feel? What am I available for? What am I not available for? And what are my desires now? What do I even like? That's
important.
Yeah, what's important to me? What are my values? And also very much relating to so our youngest is a year younger than Jordan, but she has left school to do a full-time apprenticeship and moved out of home. So she's not even in the same house as us.
Wow.
And Abby's working full-time as well. And it's just this opening up of the time and space and this invitation of like, whoa, who am I without this active day-to-day driving to school? Yeah. Being, obviously you're still a mum and you're always going to be a mum, but who am I in this new space that's opening up?
It's a different kind of parenting though, isn't it?
It is. Totally.
I'm now no longer, all I'm doing is guiding now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I have to have faith that the choices that they make are going to take them to where they want to go. And if they don't, and if they fall off course, that they will come to me and say, Mum, I've done this thing. Can you help me get back on track? Or how do I do it? How do I navigate this situation? Or it's a different kind of parenting.
Yeah, totally.
It's totally. You choose whatever you choose now, you're young adults and and
enjoy the natural consequences. And the beauty of that is that that all the guidance and the love and the decisions and the conversations and the for years and years and years and years and years add up to being able to actually go, there's the beautiful wide world and there'll always be home to come home to and we'll always support you and we'll always have you back 100%.
Yeah.
And there's a beautiful wide world out there and now you get to go and explore and taste all the things that you want and figure out who you are, which is pretty freaking cool.
And, I had the kids, the kids came to my graduation, obviously, and, they were all three of them were just so proud. And it was that's one thing that I just wanted to make sure I say in the interview today is that one thing that I came to was all of the years that I spent looking for external validation or proving to people that I was a good person or, I'm not crazy or I'm not erratic or whatever. The only people that matter to me, their opinion of me is my kids. Yeah. And all three of them, I have a really good relationship with all three of them and they all see me. So that's all that matters to me now.
Job done.
Yeah, that's it. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
What a beautiful place to be. What a beautiful place to be. And what a bloody journey. Oh, my goodness. Far out. I just, like I said before, deeply honouring you being courageous to tell your story and particularly when, like I said, it didn't feel like it was maybe accessible as recently as 6 months ago. But again, just reiterating, like even for myself, there's so many little, taps on the shoulder, confirmations. I always feel like I often use the term like chiropractic adjustments of the soul, where you get that extra little piece of the puzzle and something really makes sense or really feels, it actually lands in your body. Yeah. And Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So much
for having me.
Oh, thank you. And amazing that we get to reconnect. Because,
I know.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. I don't know. I feel like my entire life is this marinating in this magical connection thing. And I do really, really, really feel very strongly that a lot of the work that I've been doing internally,
yes,
in terms of even being, I spoke about this in the last interview too, even in terms of being available to be the truer and truer version of myself, like coming back to the authentic self in the Perspex tube. I really haven't understood how thick that Perspex was until I went through, not the same journey, but similar, of like the breaking down of like you get to a place where you just have to fucking surrender. And that's the beauty of rock bottom. Yeah. And then you get to rise up and you get to create from there. And I just think the healing that we do, and the more that we allow our real self to be seen, the more that we find our people, and they're just, those magical connections. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that is that there's not, once you go through that journey, there's not one part of yourself that you haven't met. So there is nothing to hide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So. That's, oh my goodness, I've got so much to say about shame and guilt and all the shit that, stops us from. Yeah. Oh, it's a whole other conversation. We'll have to come here. We'll have to have you come back as a visiting psychologist advisor. Actually, I've got some big, beautiful plans for 2023, so we may well be able to chat about that. Thank you so much, Nicole Liddell.
Thanks,
you are a beautiful light in the world of, resilience, transformation, and I don't give a fuck what you think about me, so I'm just going to go and create whatever I want. Thank you, my love.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Kylie.
Well, there you have it, beautiful one. Another inspirational episode, and thank you so much to our guest from today for sharing their journey and leap of faith. So many takeaways, as always. I would love to know what your favorite thing that we discussed or that hit you between the eyeballs to invite you into your own expansion or leap of faith was. Share it on Instagram or Facebook. You'll find me at Kylie Patchett. And I would love it and be so honored if you take the time to leave a review on any of your favorite podcast platforms about this show or the podcast in general. And finally, if you have someone in your life who is another midlife maven who may just need some reminding that she is a powerful, magnetic, amazing woman and that she absolutely deserves the life that she craves, please share us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.